How's everybody doing out there today? I hope you all are doing fine. I'm going to use an Old Testament scripture today to talk about what I want to talk about, and it's to basically defend my position against Calvinism, specifically the irresistible grace and the doctrine of total depravity, the 2 points in TULIP. Which I'm dead against. Reason being is, if you look at Ezra chapter 7, notice the context here that the children of Israel are coming back to their land after captivity of 70 years under Babylon and Persian reign. And the king of Persia said these words in chapter 7, verse 11, and we're going to read probably through the rest of it. And I might have to do a two-part series to show you from the New Testament also why I don't support Calvinism. Plus, Calvinism also produces a works for salvation doctrine. They claim they don't, but their perseverance of the saints, which is basically, if you're really saved, you will endure to the end. That is that scripture in Matthew 24:13 has to do with the second coming and the tribulation. It is to Israel. It's not to us. It's not to the children of God. That is to Israel. And the reason for the tribulation, if you all know, is because it's called Jacob's trouble. It's for Israel. Now, that's eschatology. That's something to study about later. But I just want to give you a quick reference of why they believe what they believe. But I don't believe that for a second. You know, they'll twist other scriptures, of course, to support their beliefs. But that is not so. Now, starting in verse 11 of Ezra chapter 7, now this is the copy of the letter that the king of Artaxerxes gave unto Ezra the priest, the scribe, and the scribe of the words of the commandments of the Lord and of his statutes to Israel. Talking about the law of Moses. Artaxerxes, king of kings, unto Ezra the priest, a scribe of the law of the God of heaven, perfect peace at such a time. Words of King Artaxerxes, verse 13, I make a decree that all they, the people of Israel, and of his priests and the Levites, and every in my realms, which are minded of their own free will to go up to Jerusalem, to go with thee. Notice that free will there. Their own free will. You see, they had this desire to go back to their land, according to their own free will, and go back to God according to their own free will. In verse 13, that's very clear. Now, I jotted down in my notes their favorite Bible versions. How dare I? I know, oh boy, I'm looking at other Bible versions. Oh boy, well, Robert, I thought you were a King James onlyist. Well, I am. But I jotted some notes down from the ESV and the NASB texts. It's kind of funny what I found in the ESV and the NASB text. They're very same Bibles that they use. In the place of free will, the ESV says freely offers. And then the NASB says who are willing to go. Their own texts say this. Their own Bibles say these things. So they say, well, there's no such thing as free will in the Bible. Really? Look at right here. Matter of fact, I looked this up this morning. The word free will shows up in your King James Bible 17 times. So you cannot tell me that there's no such thing as a free will. Matter of fact, in the book of Leviticus, there is such thing as a free will offering. Interesting. Verse 16, and the silver and gold that thou canst find, and all the providence of Babylon, with the free will offering of the people, and of the priests and offerings willingly to the house of their God, which is in Jerusalem. I skipped a verse, excuse me. Verse 15. Or verse 14, excuse me. For as much as thou art sent of the king and of the 7 counselors to inquire concerning Judah and Jerusalem, according to the law of thy God, which is in thine hand. Verse 15, and to carry the silver and gold which the king and his counselors have freely offered unto the God of Israel. Now, this is kind of different in the sense that this is the king freely offering things to the God of Israel, which, by the way, I looked this up to back myself up. The ESV and the NASB says the same thing. It's the same thing. The God of Israel and freely offered. These are heathens, by the way. So I was going to go on the rest of the chapter, but I think this is itself stands. And I think that this is, quite frankly, supporting for free will of every man. Okay? So I wanted to make a practical application out of this to state that there is such thing as a free will. These both parties made a decision of their own free will. It says it right there in Ezra chapter 7. There also, early on in the book of Ezra, there were also people who fought against Israel, who said, no, they're just doing it to rebel against us. That's the only reason why they want to go back to Jerusalem. They want to build the wall so they can rebel. So there was a choice between these two parties. The Levites wanted to go back to Israel, and the king wanted to bless them. You can read the rest of the chapter on your own, of course. But it says freely offered unto the God of Israel. I understand the context once more, but I'm just trying to point out there is such a free will in man. And I've seen this in Ezra chapter 7 this morning. I thought that was interesting. Now, as for our New Testament, let me hold on for a second. I'll have to make a part 2 and show you a few things because it's going to take more time and I want to break this in 2 parts. So hang with me.